An incredibly strong storm is going to form as we move through this week. It is Tuesday, April 1st. No April Fools here. A strong system is going to bring some decent southerly winds. It's going to really start to warm things up in places where we're kind of cold, especially into parts of Michigan. And I think some of the timing of this is going to be quite complicated. The fact that it's going to be moving through in some areas at night, not necessarily, of course, you always have the danger of a nocturnal severe threat, but the fact that it's not going to be as warm. However, there's going to be a strong amount of wind shear with this, which I want to show you. This is a look at your lower level winds as this storm gets organized. Look at everything coming in from the south. Really strong, and it really picks up now as we head into the next couple of days. Once we get into Tuesday and Wednesday, we'll really start to see that threat increase across this region, again, as those storms pick up in intensity. As we move further ahead in time, this would be moving into that Wednesday and Thursday time frame. Big winds moving in out of the south, upper level winds coming in this direction. So a lot of wind shear associated with this type of setup, which would lead to, again, that severe weather risk. Temperatures on the way up, kind of cold though, across parts of the northern states up towards Wisconsin and Minnesota, starting off in the 30s in these areas. Quite chilly. Look at these numbers, though. Watch them squeeze north with that strong southerly flow picking up. Back up into the 70s for Chicago's mid-70s Wednesday afternoon. And I'm telling you, if you can get warm up into this region, this is an issue. If you're talking about 80s down here and into parts of West Tennessee, even southern Illinois, southern Indiana, and that warm air pushing all the way north. And I think something to watch, too, will be the warm front. How that starts to interact with this severe weather event will be quite interesting, too, with all of that wind shear, especially up here into the Great Lakes region. Okay, let's move ahead in time. You can see the cold air starts to crash down behind this. Severe risk, here we go. Let's talk about where we're concerned the most. Today, it will be across the central U.S., from central Texas north all the way to Iowa, the bullseye right here, into Kansas and Oklahoma. The thing that I think complicates things today is a strong cap. That's some warm air aloft. If we can break the cap into the afternoon across Oklahoma, it's on. I think there's a lot of questions as to whether that's going to happen or not. Some of the short-range models aren't really as strong, not really showing that happening. However, once we move into tonight, 10 o'clock through midnight into the early morning hours tomorrow, that tornado risk also going to be continuing here. As we move into tomorrow, now our risk shifts much further to the east. We're looking at Michigan all the way down into the south. In some areas, I think, have a risk of maybe running a bit of a higher risk than maybe what we're even seeing here, at least for some tornadoes. So watch your warm front as it lifts north into this region with all of those strong dynamics swinging through into the upper levels. That strong upper level 500 millibar jet streak that will be swinging through is going to aid in developing those strong thunderstorms. And your tornado risk highest at this point, again, this may go up here, but this hatched area, that's these lines. You can see it, this grid-shaped pattern. That means there's a significant chance of severe weather, some strong tornadoes possible. Let's wait and see how all this develops, but the idea of the timing, we're going to go through that in just a second. But these are the areas you want to pay attention as we head into Wednesday. There's also going to be a strong damaging wind threat. This is a little bit further north. I showed you the tornado threat, but again, this is heading into Wednesday. That significant threat heading well into Michigan and all the way south to Arkansas. And you can see your bullseye again, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. And I think that this makes sense too, especially when you consider the idea that we're probably going to see these storms line up and become more linear in fashion. There's also going to be a tremendous amount of rain too, because check this out, how this storm, this next system just sags to the south really, and it will move along what's left of our front. And if I go back to the upper level chart, you can see how all this sort of plays out. Well, really, this is the lower level. Let's go up to the 500 millibar. Everything really not moving that far to the south, and I'm on the HRRR. I need to hop over to the European. It's a live video, by the way, so if you're brand new to the channel, welcome. I do a daily live video update every morning on what's going on across the country, so sometimes it's flawless. Today, clearly not. All right. Here we go. All right, so this is what I was looking for. I wanted to show you the upper level pattern. This is the 500 millibar. This is the jet streak. This is in the mid levels of the atmosphere. Really strong winds aloft. This is what's going to fuel those thunderstorms. But what I really want to show you is how this trough digs into the west. and our ridge holds pretty strong here into the southeast, and that kind of directs everything this way. So now, with this type of setup, look how it doesn't move. Do you see that? That's a heavy rain threat, so that could be a concern, and this might lead to multiple days of severe weather. All right, let's time some of this out. We'll start here across the southern plains. We'll go through this afternoon into tomorrow. Quiet through the early morning hours, some showers up across Iowa into moving north into Minnesota, maybe even a little bit of snow on the northern side of this. But once we head into the afternoon, I think you watch this area. Do we break that cap? And if we do, we could see some storms really take off. Still some questions there. Once we get into the evening hours, though, our risk definitely going up. We start to get that cold air loft moving through. Big storms going up here into Kansas, moving into really into Missouri, further south into Kansas, and then we'll see these storms continue to go here and really get going across Oklahoma into the overnight, into the early morning hours now of Wednesday. As our storm pushes to the east, this is the NAM 3K, so now we're seeing this severe weather shift more into Missouri. It is coming during the time of day where, I mean, it could be much worse, right? You're in the coolest time of the day relative, but you are going to get that strong southerly flow here. That's going to keep our temperatures warm. It's going to bring the dew points up, give you fuel for those thunderstorms. And now we're into the afternoon, and we're watching out here into central eastern Missouri, also into Illinois, southern parts of Wisconsin. And then now we're also looking here to the south into Missouri, West Tennessee, Kentucky. And notice how this doesn't really make that much headway into the south. It stalls, low pressure forming here. Now our return flow starting to pick up again, and now your heavy rain threat. Ugh, not looking good. Further to the east, this is a bit of a better look. We'll push this out in time a little bit faster here. There goes those storms through. And again, your warm front, if your warm front's going to be laying here somewhere, you're going to have all of these wind changes. All your wind is going to be changing direction with heights. So I think you've got to watch right here around the Great Lakes as this moves through. So from really Illinois over here into northern Indiana, maybe even into northern Ohio, as these storms ride along that warm front moving to the east, you're going to have different wind directions. So some of these could rotate, and then back into this region as we head into early Wednesday afternoon into Wednesday evening. There come the storms now. They really start to fire up as we head into the evening hours into Indiana. A second round of storms for Michigan, also into Ohio, with some heavy rain on the table with these storms too, pushing off to the south and east, with dew points really going up out ahead of our system too, and numbers climbing quite high. And then again, there's that front. You can see the direction. It kind of stalls out. It doesn't move that far to the south. Let's go back into the south here. I want to show you how far these storms and how they're going to kind of propagate here through Arkansas and Tennessee. There they go. You can see heading into Wednesday afternoon into Thursday, and then moving back north. All right, let's go to the northeast here too. We are going to see some active weather here. We're starting to dry out though. Temperatures cool. Our next storms will start to move in here into Pennsylvania. The severe threat not quite as high here. We could see some strong storms though heading into Wednesday night. And then look, more ice and snow possible here into northern parts of New England. And then the front moves through. Definitely not nearly as strong on the severe weather end of things across this part of the country. Moving back to the west, let's widen things out, and then really we'll sort of track everything here. There's your low pressure. This is the culprit for today's storm, starting to lift north toward the Great Lakes. I'm going to widen this out, and we're going to take a look at the entire country and just sort of track out the, boy, that's wide, right? How about we look at the entire continent? Let's not do that. Let's go a little bit closer here, back into the United States. Centered anyway. Low pressure again moving toward the Great Lakes, deepening as it does so. Makes sense as it moves east of the mountains. There's some snow too on the northern side of this. I want to back this up just a touch. We may actually start as some snow across parts of Michigan late tonight and early tomorrow morning, and then that warm air surges north. And if you get into that warm sector, you're in the severe region. Pretty wild to see that. And then the snow on the northern side of this wrapping in. Cold air, temperatures falling back down. And then the heavy rain threat starts to pick up, I think, into this region as our front stalls out, or at least your baroclinic zone. That's your difference between your cold and warm air. So there could be some heavy rain, and I think a pretty wet setup for the next couple of days, because we're going to watch another area, or at least some sort of wave of low pressure form here. Now, this is where it gets pretty doggone interesting as we head toward the weekend. Some cold air aloft moving through West Texas, West Oklahoma. Look at the European trying to put down a little bit of snow as far south as Oklahoma. I don't know that I believe it yet. This might put some severe weather into the south, especially with this trough swinging like this heading into the weekend. Still a long way to go. And then we turn cold here, especially into the Great Lakes with temperatures on the way down. But I want to show you something that, you're probably going to see this today. I'm not a believer just yet, but this is last night's GFS. It was trying to mix that rain and snow as far south as Oklahoma, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, even more so the 6Z NAM. I looked at it first thing this morning. I thought, what the heck? Look at that bowling ball of cold air putting some snow here. Definitely not a big snow by any stretch, but the fact that it's turning cold enough for an April snow, this is not an April Fool's joke, guys. This looks kind of miserable, too, with temperatures on the way down. And look at these numbers this week, by the way. We kind of went through the surface map and the precipitation and the severe without talking about our temperatures. We talked about how the impact today will be on that warm air squeezing north, and that's why your severe threat's going to start to pick up here across the Midwest. But there comes the cold air behind this, right? So pushing into the Great Lakes. It pushes south, but it is April, so it's not going to be that cold, but high temperatures will be muted, certainly into Missouri across the lower to mid-50s. Some areas may not get out of the 40s. Especially if you stay stuck in the clouds. And then look at this temperature difference as we head toward Friday. Mid-80s versus 40s and 50s. So a strong baroclinic zone between those temperatures. And then there's that cold air this weekend moving into Texas. Look at these overnight lows. We may drop into the 30s, so it may feel like summer's on, but then you're back into the 20s across the panhandle of Oklahoma. So some cold weather pushing back in. And then more chilly weather for the east heading into next week. Very, very cold. One more thing to look at, too. I do like to look at the precipitation because this is really impressive if you look at how much rain we're looking at over the next week or so. I'm going to back it up and just give you an idea. We'll start here in the central U.S. depending on where you are. Check this out. Right here along the Ohio River, south into southeast Missouri, down into Arkansas, the potential on the table to see more than 10 inches of rain in some of these areas. And this is not modeled data. This has been touched by humans at the Weather Prediction Center at NOAA. So a lot of rain on the way. And, that's not even talking about the 3, 4, 5 inches of rain we're going to see through Sunday across other parts of this area, and a good solid area of close to 6 inch plus of rain through the timestamp above my head. That would be through Sunday. And it's not just going to be here across the Tennessee Valley. Quite a bit of rain moving all the way into Ohio, 2, 3, 4 inches of rain possible here. Flooding is a concern. And there could be, yes, even more rain in some of these areas. These are touch numbers here. Look at this. In northern parts of Arkansas here, 11 inches of rain. Forecasted, not modeled. Very active. It's going to stay this way, I think, this week with this type of setup. And across the Southwest, we kind of talked about a lot of the east. We do have some pretty active weather here, too. Some snow moving into the Sierra, some colder weather digging into the Southwest. Look at the snow going up near Flagstaff, up into the Wasatch. This cold air loft spins through. Impressive looking here. Look at our numbers into Phoenix. I just want to show you that as an example. You can see how that cold air moves in. Today we'll be in the 70s. Tomorrow, we're back into the 50s and 60s, and Flagstaff is probably going to be close to freezing. We'll probably get maybe into the 40s there at about 7,000 feet, but get up in elevation, it's going to be cold out here. And across the Pacific Northwest, some chilly air moving in, some cold air aloft, more heavy snow into the Sierra, also into the Cascades and into the Intermountain West. A bit of a break maybe by Friday into Saturday as some ridging takes place, and then our temperatures will start to warm up here as we start cold this week. We're in the 50s in the valleys. We're back up close to 60 by the time we get to Thursday, and we could push 70 in some of these areas by Friday. All right, that's all I got for this one. If you're just joining us, you can back it up, take it from the very beginning. If you're a new subscriber, welcome. Thousands of you have joined this channel over the last couple of months. If you're looking for a weather channel, I hope you'll consider coming back. I'm Travis. I used to be a chief meteorologist years ago, and I hope you have a great Tuesday.